Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make a mantemuerto. It's basically pan de muerto in the shape of a mantecada, which again is like the mantecocha. It's just a cupcake shaped pan de muerto. And pan de muerto has like an orange flavor to it, very faint. And the first time I made it, I used orange blossom water, which a lot of people ask you to use. It's agua de azahar, I guess azahar. But and I use this for my baklava and I love it. But for some reason this one, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite. So I waited to make the bread because I didn't have this. I had to go to my Mediterranean store where I used to buy it, and it's 15, 20 miles away now. So I went this weekend and got it, and the whole time not even thinking to just use orange zest. So today I'll be using orange zest to give it that orange flavor, a large orange. But this is a recipe I adapted mostly from Ana la Moreliana Pasteles La Moreliana, I can't remember, but I'll have the link to her full recipe. She makes a kilo, which is basically 8 cups or so. It's a big recipe. So this is half of that mixed in with other ingredients that I thought would be good that other people have used in different videos, with the topping that's different, with the filling that might be a little bit different. So this is just something I kind of can't just put together. Not that I came up with the recipe, not even close, because if with baking you have to be very exact. So I started off with just making pasteles la moreliana, like half that, but you kind of have to adapt it even with the half, because sometimes it's not soft enough or whatever. You have to like tweak it. And like I said, I'm not using the liquid that most people ask for. I'm using an orange zest. And I'll just show you real quick. I do have some. I wasn't going to make any more this week, but they're so good. So this is one from the other day that I made, that I had initially made. And as you can see, the topping is coming out the top. So like I'm learning to, not do that. So I'll have some tips in here for you guys. And you can use Flor de Cecilia. This has an orange and vanilla scent. This is even harder to find. I got this from King Arthur flour. I've had this for years because you could basically, this same recipe you can shape into a panettone. You can what's the other one, pan de muerto, and then oh gosh, there's another Mexican bread that's basically the same thing, but it's just a different style. I can't think of the name right now. Darn it, it'll come to me. Oh, rosca de reyes basically has the same orange scented, orange flavored bread. So to start off, I use a scale. So if you have a recipe that's a kilo of flour, they say it's about 8 cups. It's not really, it's like less than that. So I use a scale. I'm using 500 grams, which is less than 4 cups, okay? So I'm gonna give you those rough estimates as far as that, but before we even get started with that, I'll just go through the ingredients as we use them, because that's just how I roll. So I have 100 milliliters of milk here, and your measuring cups pretty much usually have milliliters and cups and ounces, so 100 milliliters. So that's already not quite, in her recipe half would be 50, but I'm putting in more liquid because she used sweetened condensed milk and I'm not using that, so I had to add more liquid. So this is 100 milliliters and I microwave for 30 seconds, okay? So it's not too hot and not too cold, because what you want to do is start this off with some yeast and let it start rising as you're working everything else. So I have my Bread Star active yeast. I love this brand's yeast and I have been making bread for decades. This is my favorite. So I have a big old huge thing from Costco and I keep it in a bag in a Tupperware container in the fridge, okay? So a heaping tablespoon and a half. Okay, so 1.5 tablespoons, both of them heaping. I love this measuring set because it has a half tablespoon. If yours doesn't, half a tablespoon is about a teaspoon and a half a teaspoon, okay? A teaspoon and a half makes half a tablespoon. A tablespoon is basically 3 teaspoons. So that's always good to remember. So know that a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So if you ever need to reduce that number or just don't have a tablespoon, you can heap in 3 teaspoons and you got it. So I'm gonna use that and then we're gonna mix it through. So it starts dissolving pretty well, okay? I usually don't even take the time to do this. I just kind of mix it a little bit, but you know what? If you're gonna make the bread, we're gonna make it good. So today I'm gonna stuff this bread. You don't have to do that. You can just put the bread in the little cupcake liners, just the bread. But I'm gonna stuff some with Philadelphia cream cheese, or actually I think it's a store brand one, and raspberry jam, seedless jam. And then the other half, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna put some walnuts with a little bit of cinnamon and sugar and maybe a little butter just to kind of get them going, and put that in the middle and see how that turns out. I know the other one's yummy, but some people put Nutella, some people put Nutella and cream cheese, some people, do whatever you like or don't put anything at all. That's too good too. So I am just mixing that pretty thoroughly. It's not the best, but try to get all that yeast back in there. I don't like wasting it. And we're gonna let this kind of do its own thing, and it's gonna start bubbling and fermenting, hopefully. So we'll put that to the side. Okay, and then we'll bring back our 500 grams of flour. This is bread flour. Actually, I want to tell you guys this, I like this flour. I got it at Walmart, and I don't know anything about this brand or nothing, but it was a good price, and it's a huge bag, and it was Wheat Montana Farms and Bakery. It says natural white all-purpose flour. This one is all-purpose. It's unbleached, but they do say on there that it's great for bread, so I'm like, well, let me see. But it's pretty good. I like it. It makes a really nice soft bread, so I'm happy about that. We're gonna add in 150 grams of sugar, which is like almost 3/4 cups of sugar. I think a lot of people just say half a cup, but it's not. It's more than half a cup. It's almost 3/4 cup, okay? So that's kind of why I don't like these translations from, oh, this to that. It's like, nah, I don't know about that. Okay. So I'm just kind of mixing this a little bit. And now we're gonna add in our zest. So I'll show you a little bit about that at the beginning here, and then I'll go off camera. So I'm gonna wash my orange really well. I don't know how well, but well enough. Sorry guys, you over there. I have a microplane. Now microplane might make this too fine, so just a regular cheese grater is usually good because you have some, you know, you can see the chunkiness of it. But I love my microplane because it can kind of just sit across here or put it in wherever. Actually, how am I gonna do this? Yeah, this way. And I'm just gonna grate the whole orange over this. Now, the reason I'm doing it right over here is because I've seen so many people grate this into like a different dish, and then they have to scrape all those little scrapings, the zest off that dish, and then it gets stuck on their fingers, it gets stuck on the dish. You're just wasting it, right? All this work you're doing. So I'm gonna zest this completely, grate it over here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that didn't take long at all. That's why I love a microplane. They work so well. I'm just gonna make sure I get that bottom parts. And that's basically all I'm dealing with. Instead of trying to scrape it off this, scrape it off that, scrape it off everything else. I didn't mention, this is gonna make 12 to 14 cupcakes depending on what you wanna do. So the top of the pan de muerto is supposed to look like, where it was all lumpy, it's supposed to look like bones, or that's what it's supposed to represent. So I'm sorry about all this lighting, it's kind of crazy. So it's gonna get crunchy anyway because the way you decorate and you go to bake it, but I'm gonna show you a little trick to make it even crunchier, okay, on top. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But after this, we have all this ready to go. I need to melt some of my butter, not completely melted, but just soft enough so that when I go to incorporate it, it's not like a, you know, just hard, because we don't want that. And I have my eggs coming to room temperature, meaning I just put them in hot water that comes out of the tap, like this, the hottest water, and put them in there in like 5, 6, 7 minutes, and you're good. They'll be nice and warm. So I'm gonna go ahead and crack those into a different bowl just to not get any eggshell in here. And I'll be right back once my butter's melted and the eggs are cracked. Okay, so I have my butter melted and my eggs are all cracked, no shell anyway, but there they are. And then also, not just to not get shell in your you know, your base here, but it's also to make sure like the eggs aren't rotten. I've never come across a rotten egg except for one time at my sister's house. It was so funny. She bought organic eggs and they were like all expensive or whatever. And we had gone over, I guess, I don't even know, I went to pick up my mom or something from her. But anyway, she was just making breakfast and all of a sudden she cracked it, and you know, you crack it and you just throw it in. You don't really crack it and look at it and then throw it in. So it came out like gray, black. I've never seen that before, and it just like smelled immediately. And then like, it was so crazy. And so my mom was like, just scrape it out. And then my sister's like, I don't know, I don't want to give this to the kids, you know? So she just was like, she just threw it all away. And by that time she already cracked like a dozen other eggs because she was making a lot of eggs for breakfast. So, oh well, that was funny because I've just never seen one. I've never, ever, ever come across a rotten egg. But anyway, the reason I keep chit-chatting is because this isn't quite what I want to see. I want to see it bubbling more. So I'm going to let this sit for a little bit longer. Maybe put it in the microwave where it's kind of warm. And then basically you want to leave this alone for like 5 to 10 minutes so it's bubbling more. I can see that it's bubbling, but it's not quite what I want to see. So I'm gonna let this stuff sit here for just a little bit and we'll be right back. Okay, yeah, so I left it in the microwave like 5 minutes by itself, and this looks better. It's even higher, and I can see on the side, I know you can't see it, but there's bubbles and things here. So we're good to go. It smells so good in here. I came in from, you know, sitting in the living room with Miranda a little bit. But anyway, because of this orange zest. And this orange right here, I'm gonna eat with some chamoy and some chile, and it'll be yummy. Again, my breakfast. I guess I keep having spicy breakfast. Anyway, so I'm just gonna mix that zest in just to kind of get it going. I might add a little bit of vanilla just because you can put vanilla, like I said, you can put orange flavoring, you can put whatever. I was thinking maybe if you did lime zest or lemon zest, how yummy would that be? So you can do whatever you like, guys, seriously. Okay, 3 eggs. And 3 eggs, in the original recipe she asked for 5, and I've done half my recipe like with my manteconchas or conchas. And I feel like 2 eggs, doesn't cut it, right? So, I mean, half would be 2.5. And so I'd rather go with the 3 than just 2. And then our butter. I feel like this is so simple. I'm like, am I forgetting something? Like I said, I'm gonna go grab some. Usually I use a spatula, but I'm all hands in on this one this time. You're gonna get your hands dirty anyway, so might as well. Let me grab the bottle with my clean hand of vanilla. I hope you guys like these videos. I'm basically just talking with you guys, chatting, doing this stuff. I don't know. We're kind of learning together. All right, I would measure this, but I don't really care. So this is Molina vanilla blend. They sell it in Mexico. They sell it here now at Walmart, and just a little bit, okay, guys? I'm not going too crazy because the flavor of the bread by itself, this smells so good already. Vanilla and orange, oh my gosh, is really good. So we're gonna put in our yeast. And I try to get all of it. I need all of that. I always feel like that's what makes your bread rise, obviously. So I always like to get all of it. Okay. And all we're gonna do is gently just fold this in. Just incorporate it all together. You can do this. What I like about Pasteles a Moreliana's recipes is that she makes it so that you don't have to do all this kneading, okay? Every recipe you see, if you look up mantemuerto or pan de muerto, it's like a gummy substance and you're going to have to knead it for 20 minutes and then another kneading for 20 minutes after you let it rise. And you don't add more flour. You just keep kneading it so much that the gluten, I guess, basically activates and it becomes a nice dough. But I'm like, yesterday I only had to knead this, or the other day when I made it the first time, for like 10 minutes the second time. And that I think was too much. I think I knocked too much air out of it. So I'll probably go a little bit less this time. And that's it. So right now all we're trying to do is gather all this dryness. And you're not really trying to make a dough ball or anything. You're just trying to get it all incorporated. Okay, guys? So I can feel there's a lot of wetness on my hands. So I'm trying to get that to rub into this other. And it is cold here right now, and for some reason whenever I half this recipe it always feels like it takes forever to rise because it's such a small amount. It's hard to kind of notice that it's rising, but it'll take about an hour and a half, 2 hours, okay? So that's no lie. I know sometimes people are like 30 minutes, 40 minutes or whatever, but no, this one, it takes a while. The second the second time it rises doesn't take as long, but let's see here. So all I'm trying to do is just incorporate this, get it all together, all those little dry spots kind of. And this is what's funny, when you make the whole recipe, it's really wet. But when you go halfers, it just isn't it's not the same. So anyway, I try to get all the bits, because usually this looks like a shaggy dough when I'm at this point with the whole recipe. But here we are. So like I said, I'm just trying to get in all those dry pieces. There. And again, we're not trying to make a dough ball yet. Yep, just make sure it's all okay. Pretty good. And my hand, it's getting less sticky. Obviously at the beginning it was stuck more on my hand, and I always like to get it all back in there. So we're just gonna cover this with some saran wrap. I just put it on the top of the bowl. And we are going to let this rise. I usually put it in my oven that is not turned on. I'll turn the lights on to get it warm in there, because like I said, it's really cold right now. It was 30-something degrees this morning in California. Well, that happens anyway in some parts of California, but in San Diego it's like, ugh. We are shivering. It's not in the middle of my hand. I always like to get all everything together. Okay, so I'm just gonna cover it. Like I said, put it in my oven with the light on, about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then when we come back, we're gonna knead it. And then after you're done kneading, this only has two sessions of rising. So after we knead it, we're gonna make it into the shapes that we need, stuff it and all that, and get it going. So I'm gonna put this in the oven. When I come right back right now while this is rising, we can make our filling or we can make the filling later, but I'll probably, well, obviously I'll come right back either way. For you guys, it's like I came right back. Be right back to make the fillings. Okay, I will have the recipe in the description box only because I did tweak it and I know it's gonna be different from other things, especially because I just realized I didn't tell you guys I used 125 grams of butter in the bread, which is like a stick of butter, but a stick of butter is 113 grams, so it's like a stick of butter plus another tablespoon basically. So I'll have that all in the description box though. So right now, just for the filling, and like I said, it makes 12 to 14. I made 14 the other day, but I think I'm just gonna reduce it to 12 and just make more topping, more of the little bones on top, make them like more sizable. So That way it's a dozen, it makes a nice dozen for you, and it's just a good number, right? So right here I have 2 tablespoons about of butter melted. Oh, and the butter in the recipe can be salted or unsalted. I used half and half just because I was like, well, it might be salty, maybe it's not. So I used about half of each. But you can use either one. Some people put a little pinch of salt in their dough. I didn't, and I didn't especially because I did some salt in the butter. The original recipe from Pasteles Moreliana does not ask for a pinch of salt, but a lot of bakers do that anyway. So 2 tablespoons here. I'm making this up on the fly because I don't know. I'm just going to see about making some walnut filling, which is basically just going to be walnuts, cinnamon, sugar, and a little butter. I got this thing at the second-hand store, which is kind of cool because, I mean, it's not cheap. It's a little KitchenAid item, and it came with a bunch of other things, like at the Amvets. They just put a bunch of things in a bag, and they'll be like $2. So this is like silicone baking stuff. I had a bunch of stuff for $2. I was like, ooh, can't beat that. So this thing's come in handy, actually. So I'm just going to put these in here to crunch up the walnuts a little bit smaller. I think that might be okay. I'm just trying to make them a little bit smaller. I'm not trying to demolish them. And I'm not sure how much that is. Probably half a cup. And you can probably add a little more. I might double that. I don't know, because let's see what it looks like. And I'm just making this up, so we're just gonna add some cinnamon. I'm not even measuring it. And some sugar. I think I'm gonna add some more nuts, and then we'll just mix it all through. So just so you know, I'm gonna mix this right now, but I'm gonna add another amount of nuts. So probably it'll be a cup of nuts by the time we're done with this. And I'm just gonna set this to the side. And that will be what I put in the middle of some of the bread. That smells good already. Yummy, yummy. I don't know if I need a whole cup though. I might leave it like this. What do you think? That looks pretty good, because in each bread you don't put too much. I mean, I'm gonna put like this much, and I just need for like 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so half a cup. Nice. The other one is going to be, all it is cream cheese and red raspberry jam. You can just put cream cheese, you can just put jam. The problem with jams is when you put them in the center of something like that, they're gonna start boiling, okay? So you have to be kind of careful. They do have jams that are made just for baking because they know that, and so they make it so that it doesn't just boil. But just know that, okay? So that's kind of why I like to mix it with the cream cheese too. It works out. So I'm only gonna use half a stick of cream cheese. If you wanna make it all cream cheese and raspberry, then just do the whole thing. When I did the 12 cupcakes, I used the whole stick. So for right now, we're just gonna use half, and I'm just gonna cut it, even though I hate doing that, but so 4 ounces basically of cream cheese. I know I said it was Philly. It's not Philly. It is Stater Bros brand. It was like 75 cents cheaper. And I was like, okay, and I need 2 more sticks for another recipe. And I was like, that's a good amount of dollars by the time you divide it up that way. And then we need some raspberry. And again, I'm just eyeballing this, guys. So whatever you want, probably a couple tablespoons. If there's a lot of liquid in there, try not to get all that, you know, that little liquid that adds up in there. That probably is like 2 tablespoons maybe. And we're gonna mix this together, and it does not have to be like completely mixed, okay? Oh, and you know what? I did add sugar the other day. It does taste better with a little bit of sugar. So I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar, okay? Just because it gives a more cream cheesy taste than like, that's probably about a tablespoon of sugar. I'm sorry if I'm losing on this part. This part I'm just, you know, just do what you want. Some people don't like the sweetness, and some people do like it a little bit sweeter. So for me, I like a little bit sweeter. So add sugar, add more sugar, don't put sugar. It's up to you. So we're just trying to kind of incorporate this, but not so much that the raspberry is completely gone. At least that's how I like it. Some people completely, you know, incorporate it, so whatever. So I'm gonna continue mixing this. And I'm gonna put this back in the fridge because obviously we're waiting for our bread to rise. But also you want it to be a little bit stiff so that you can spoon it into your bread without having like a big problem, right? So I'm gonna continue mixing this, just smashing it down, making sure that sugar's all incorporated, and so is the raspberry. And when we come back, we will knead the dough. That's gonna take a little while, and shape it, and everything's gonna be good to go. Okay guys, oh, let me turn the kitchen light on. Hopefully you can see that that's kind of like puffed up. And again, like I said, I just put it in my oven with the light on. And actually it's been like over 2 hours because I had to go pick up my son. I was like, either you stay at, you know, on campus for extra time, or I need to come get you right now because he usually gets out at 11:30 or whatever, 11:40 on Thursdays. But anyway, There it is, and hopefully you can see how airy it is down there. So I'm just gonna put some flour down, and what traditionally is, it's like I said, super sticky. Oh, this is so much better. The other day I don't think I let it rise enough, and so it was still super sticky, but like not that light, and then I think I over kneaded it. So you'll go learning as you know, well, you'll be learning as you work along with this kind of thing. So I kind of have my guancha recipe down pretty well, and this is, you know, a couple tweaks from the other day even, but yeah, definitely let it rise, obviously, until it's double in size. So what I'm gonna do is have some flour. Oh, Miranda Lou. I asked her if she wanted to watch a video, because I have to put the code in the iPad, so of course when my hands are all greasy and not good, she comes over with it. What? You wanna watch Disney games? Okay, go sit down. Sorry guys. You're gonna play them? Okay, go sit down. Be careful with that, oh goodness. Okay, so I have a little Crisco here, and this is my Crisco that I use for like just putting my hands in, so that's why it's empty, but I don't want to just throw that away, so I use it for this purpose. I should probably take off my rings, but that's okay. It doesn't get too crazy. It is pretty sticky. Sometimes it'll be stickier than others. Like right now it's sticky. So basically we're going to knead this until it's not sticky. I think the other day I kneaded it much more than just, oh, until it's not sticky. I just kept going, and then I was even throwing it like that, which does make the texture different when you go like this. When you're doing the regular recipe, like the one where you have to just mix it by hand forever, you want to throw it down and do all this stuff, and it totally, just doing that changes the texture of the bread, I guess in a way, because you're knocking the air out of it instead of just kneading it out like this. And you go boom, it like knocks it out, and it makes it nice and smooth. I don't know. So basically, again, we're just gonna knead this like 5 to 10 minutes, guys. They say until it's not sticking to your hand, but to me, like, this is already not sticking to my hands, but I'm gonna keep kneading it because you do want to knead it. Obviously, you see all these like torn pieces, that's where the air is just like having air pockets and coming out. So I am adding flour, but I'm not adding like so much flour that, you know, that it's getting really dry. So I'll give it a couple of drops, but not too hard, only because that did help it come to what you want. So I'm gonna keep doing this. Like I said, it's not sticking to my hands anymore, but you still want to knead it like the full recipe for sure 10 minutes because it's a big ball, but this one probably 5 minutes. I'm gonna check the time here. So I'm gonna keep kneading. I kind of squeeze it and push. Bring it back. Squeeze it and push. That's how I knead. I don't know. Some people do it more like laundry. If you ever wash laundry by hand, kind of pulling it out that way. So do whatever you need to do, get your workout, and I will be right back. Okay guys, I think we're there. Like I said, I kind of would do this kind of thing, and it kind of just gives it a nice texture. But anyway, not too much. But as you see, it's not sticking at all. I mean, it hasn't been sticking anyway. It has a nice little texture. Works for me. Now I'm going to basically cut this into 12 pieces, and then whatever is left extra is what I'm going to use for the little bones on top, and then we're going to do a little something special with that to make the bones even crunchier. But what's kind of a bummer is I'm using a scale, and I'm going to turn my scale on, right? And then I'm going to, well, I'm not going to do it up here because it's not going to look funny. But see, right now it's just like floating and the numbers keep changing because it's not like on a surface. I'm going to put my plate on it, and then I'm going to press tare so that my plate isn't included in the grams. And I'm going to measure out 60 grams. Okay, so each little ball should be 60 grams. Basically, if you're going to do this at home and you don't want to do 60 grams, you're going to cut this into 15 equal pieces. 12 of them are going to make cupcakes. The other 3 where you can just put them all together, and that'll be the stuff you're going to use for the topping. So I already have my scale grammed out. So yeah, I would just kind of roll it into a thing. You can cut it in half and then make each of those halves 8 and 7. That's why it's a weird number. So I'm going to weigh them, and I like to cut them with a knife, but you can use whatever. Obviously, you can just tear it. I was kind of, sometimes I start with a knife and then I go to tearing. So let me see. That's 55. Pretty close. 63. It takes a little patience, guys. So that's 59. Let me add a little more. Okay, and that's 60, 61. That's good enough. And what I'm going to do is, it's about this size. Hopefully you can kind of see that. As I cut the pieces, I'm going to go ahead and ball them up. Only because after I'm done getting all 12, then I'll go ahead and put the filling in. So as you can see, I'm kind of going like this, cupping my hand, and it really works, guys. I know I see a lot of people do these tutorials, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But just keep your hand like in a C, and just let the ball kind of roll around in there, and look how cute it makes a tight little ball. So I'm going to put that to the side. And I usually measure a few out, and then I kind of ball them up, like, because that was 44, that wasn't even close. Okay, here's one. It's 60. So it starts getting easier once you start pulling them and kind of feeling what the dough feels like when it's 60 in your hand. You kind of do a better job. 60. Okay, so I'm gonna keep pulling, and then once I have like a few, I'll go ahead and like ball them up. That's kind of how I do that. But let me see. Okay. Oh, so we can see that. That was 56. So, okay, I'm gonna do that until I have all 12 balled up. If you don't want to do the rolling thing, you can do this, but rolling it keeps it nice and tight. So I'll be right back once I have my little 12 things done. I told you, I'm still kind of working on this recipe. So I do have the 12, and I still have quite a bit left over here. The thing is, we're gonna have to divide this into 12, so I kind of want to see what that looks like. So as I'm working it with you guys, I'm gonna cut this in half. And that I need 6 out of this piece. So let's say half this way. I just want to see how much topping I need for each one, or what that kind of looks like, because I might have too much. So let me just make sure. Yeah, because each one we're going to cut a piece. You're going to make a bone. We're going to make another bone, and then a little bolita on top. Hey, it's not bad. Okay, so yeah, let's just do that. I'm going to put this to the side, the leftover, and cover it up so it doesn't dry out while we're doing our cupcakes and the filling and all that. So I'm done with all of this. And this. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have a pan here, oops, with 12 baking cups. These are like little glassine baking cups, which you can find on Amazon. I don't even know where I got these. I think they came in a kit, and I love them. And they're red, obviously, and that's what most Mexican bakeries use. So I thought that was kind of awesome. I have some of my filling here. I'm gonna get the other one in just a second out of the fridge, but let me put these to the side. So what we're gonna do is let these rise a little bit after we fill them, and then we're gonna put the topping on. You can put the topping on before you let them rise, but I see like mine kind of fell apart a little bit, and I've seen different people do it different ways, so I kind of feel like I should let it rise a little bit, then put the toppings on them, okay? So we're gonna take each little ball, and I'm gonna flatten it out, but as I flatten it out, I want more in the middle, okay? Because what happens is, if the other day I flattened them out so much in the middle, the topping came out, not the topping, the filling came out. So basically you want a thinner lip. And then I'm gonna take some of this stuff. And this is kind of like making a dumpling. I'm gonna kind of hold it in with my thumb. Okay, so recently I kept making, I tried my hand at, hopefully you can kind of see it looks like a dumpling, and then I'm gonna bring it together in the middle, okay? And we're pinching. Right? I made that look easy. It is kind of easy, but it's not that easy, okay? And it's actually a nice little ball already, but if you want to, you can very gently make it into a nice perfect ball again. And then I'm just gonna place that in my baking cup. Okay, just pop it in there. I'll show you that again. So again, I'm kind of flattening it out, not so much in the middle, but more here. That way, if it does ooze out, it's going to ooze out the bottom, and that's not a big deal. You're still going to eat it. It's yummy. But you don't want it to ooze out the top like mine did the other day. So I'm going to take a good little bunch of this. I was making dumplings, that's what I was going to say. Or bao bun type things. So I'm kind of pulling this thin up towards the top. And so that kind of helped me learn to do this too, you know? And I kept failing on those. Well, no, they came out. They just weren't pretty. You know, with a little twist and everything. So again, I'm pinching this. This is easier to do with this dry filling, I'll tell you that much, because the other one, it's a little trickier. So again, I'm just kind of shaping that. And then if you drop your little your bun in there, and you want it to be nice and perfectly round, so you can place it in your cup first and then place it in your baking tray. That's fine too. Let me grab the other filling. I'll show you how to do that. Where is it? I tell you, my fridge is so full, so sometimes I go to look, I'm like, where is that? Okay, so what's funny, this happened the other day too. This stuff softens up as it's sitting there. See how it's all liquid? It wasn't liquid like that. Even though you put it in the fridge, you think it would be like thicker, but I think the sugar starts kind of macerating in its juices here, and it makes that mess. But, so, just give it a quick whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna take one of these guys, again, squeezing it down into the center, or down the center, but, you know, making this thinner on the edges. Kind of holding in my hand. And I liked, you can use a spoon, but I like to use a cookie scoop because it kind of gave me an even amount in each one, right? Kind of pushing that in there, even though it's not a scoop, it's just an amount, okay? And again, we're gonna hold this and we're pulling this up, especially with this one because there's liquid. I just wanna make sure I'm getting this all pulled up together and keeping that liquid down, okay? And a little pinch. Oh, it looks almost like a dumpling. Hey, I might be getting better at that too. Maybe I should try it again. We made them, they were so good, but they were just ugly. Okay, there's that. Bottom sealed up. And we'll take our little cup, just place it right in the middle there. And I'm gonna do all of them just that same way. So I'm gonna do 6 with this filling, 6 with the other filling, and I'll be right back to show you what that looks like. Last little ball. And I realized at first I showed you guys how to kind of fold it like a dumpling and then pinch it in the middle. And then the next time I kind of show you how to make it like a dumpling. So either way it works, and I think the folding it in half first and then kind of pinching the edges works better. But this is my last one. See, it's a little bit open at the bottom, but this is okay because this one, well, you can still pinch it. This is the one with the nuts, so it's not gonna fall out. So I have all my little guys here. What I'm gonna do is cover them with a tea towel or just a towel. And I'm gonna put them back in the oven. You're supposed to let them rise for like 30 to 45 minutes, but I'm gonna let them rise for only about 20 minutes because we wanna put the little topping on it, right? So I'm gonna give it 20 minutes and I'll be right back. I'm just gonna put these in my oven with the light on because it's a very cold day. So oven, light on. Now, with this, it's already getting puffier. I can feel it. It's still nice and warm from when it was in the oven. What I'm gonna do is add a little bit more flour. Now you can just leave it alone if you don't wanna do that. You can just roll it out. Look how it looks so beautiful. So soft. You can just leave it alone and put the topping. You don't have to add more flour. But if you add more flour, it's gonna get a little crunchier. So that's kind of what I want. So I'm only gonna add very little flour, but let me grab that. Are you singing, Amanda? I'm not even kidding, not that much more flour, like maybe a 1/4 cup, if even that. And I probably didn't have to put it all in at once because it's probably gonna be a pain, but now I'm just gonna mix that in. And all this is gonna do is just make this a little tougher, right? This part, and it's gonna be a little crunchier, which is what I am going for. So I'm just gonna work this in until it's all completely incorporated, see? So it's about a 1/4 cup, maybe a little bit less. And we're just gonna make like a tougher dough, basically. So while those other little guys rise, we'll get this going. And once I get it all incorporated, which it's getting there, but see how much flour you can put into your dough, and then you end up with a really chewy dough. So like when I did the whole batch and I was kneading it, I probably used like 2 tablespoons of flour. I mean, I just very little and then worked it. So don't think you have to add a bunch of flour to get your dough kneaded, because look, this is like super tough now. I mean, it's hard for me to even knead this. So that's basically what we're looking for. Just something a little tougher, and it's gonna get a little crispier than the rest of the bread. It'll have a little more consistency to it. But anyway, so it's getting there. I can feel like the sticky dough in my hands rubbing into the floury dough. And once it's all worked in, I'll knead it in. This doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously you wanna work it in, but what I'm saying is like it doesn't have to look so pretty like the other dough when you're done. Just give it some slaps. That's kind of fun. But hopefully you guys can see that when you slap it down, I don't know what it does, but it just makes it so much nicer than what it was. Okay. So I'm gonna cover this up again in its plastic wrap and let that rest until I'm ready to put these on the top of the cupcakes. All right. Okay guys, so let's check these little guys out. I let them rise actually for about 25 minutes, and they are a lot fuller. I don't know if you can see that. Because when I heat up my oven, it takes forever, one, and I didn't want them to be out in the cold for too long while we're working anyway. I just wanted to let them rise as much as they could. Oh, this is so funny. In my oven I have a bunch of stuff, right, obviously, so I had bought these the other day, and I had placed this on there because it was just in the oven, like why not just to keep it warm, and it made indentions in the bubbles did. All right, so with our hands are real clean and washed, our surface is nice and clean, we're just gonna roll this guy out, and it's still rising, it's doing its own thing. You can give it a quick roll, I guess. I don't really want to deflate it too much because you saw how stiff the dough was. Look at that, so good. So I don't need any flour, but if you want to put some flour down, it shouldn't be too sticky at this point especially. So again, I'm gonna cut that in half, keep it wrapped so it doesn't dry out while we're working with the other half. And with this guy, this doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, they're all going to be slightly different. You could measure it out. I know some people are like, you need 10 grams, you know, but whatever. This This is a little bit small compared to these guys, maybe. And we're just gonna chop each half into 6 pieces. I already forgot which side had the raspberry filling, which side had the nut filling. I told myself I would pay attention to that, and I did not. But I think this side has the nut filling, so I can see a little nut right there. So each little chunk, we don't have to mess with these. All you're gonna do is, basically you need a little piece for like the little top. And you don't have to do that. If you just want to cut it in half and make one, I'm just kind of rolling it because it's the easiest thing to do. Kind of give it a roll. I'm gonna close up a little bit. Give it a roll, and then you're gonna press down with one finger. Make a nicer roll than I did. You're gonna thin it out. So these are gonna be one set of bones that's like this. You can make another set of bones that has 3 little knobs. So basically you're gonna roll it between 2 of your fingers. And you're kind of pushing down. Obviously you want this to get thin. These little areas to get thin. You can use your hands however you want. And then when you put it on top of your cupcake, you can put it like this. This makes it a little top knob. I'd rather just do 2 and 2. And I'll show you right now what I mean by that. Actually, let me move these things out of the way because I don't have to bring this back in so you can see what I'm talking about. And if you want some water on your fingers to kind of dab on here, it didn't really make a difference last time I did it. Oh, this is gonna be a pain to show. Sorry guys. I don't know how to keep this from like staying in view. So basically you're gonna stretch this little guy out. You want it to go to the edge as much as you can, okay? So there's one. Again, I'm gonna roll it and only use one finger in the middle to kind of make a little skinny bone. So here's number 2. And the last one is just gonna be a little bit of a ball on top. And these guys are a little bit big, so they might end up really huge, but last time I made them a little bit too small, so if you want to make them less, you know, sizable, that's fine. I'm not really squishing the bread too much. I'm just barely placing these guys on. Now, before we get them in the oven, if you want to, what's the word? If you want to put some butter on it or top it with an egg wash, it's up to you. I have my oven going, so basically when I'm done doing all the toppings for all these guys, they should be ready to go in the oven. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue. Again, like I said, you can do different decorations. I'm gonna leave some like this. I guess I'm probably gonna do them all this way because I have plenty of the stuff. Again, you could just make yourself 13 or 14 cupcakes, you know, and then use the leftover for the topping if you want this topping to be a little bit less large, whatever you want. But I'll be right back once I top them all. Okay guys, I have my whole tray here, and these look totally different than the ones I made the other day. The other day I made the ones with the 2 knobs and then with 3 knobs. But this is very cute, and they're already getting puffy. My oven is almost to 375 now. Initially, you can also just make these into 2 big breads and then use the leftover. So basically you're gonna divide your dough into 2 big breads and then use the leftover piece to make the topping, your little decoration. I'm gonna tell you right now, they should be a little smoother. I'm just looking at these, like this one has like a little crack there because once it starts baking, that's gonna rip open, but whatever, it'll be fine. So you do wanna roll everything smooth. I was gonna redo it, but they're like totally stuck down now and I don't wanna mess with it. So there's that. Pasteles La Moreliana says to cook them at 390. When I did that, they burned the heck out of them immediately. Like I was like, okay, 7 minutes. I'll come back and check so I can turn them, you know, because it's like 15 to 20 minutes baking time. And they were so brown, like ridiculous. So I kicked the temperature down at that point to like 375, and then I covered them with a piece of foil. So I'm going to do 375 just to start with. And if it looks like they're browning too quickly at the 7 or 8 minute mark, I'll put some foil on top. I like to turn them. It's only 1 pan, so I'm not, you know, I don't have to switch them from place to place. I'm putting the oven right in the middle, right? My rack in the middle of the oven. So I will check back on them, like I said, around 7 or 8 minutes. I'll show you guys what that looks like. And if it's too dark, I'll put a topping on it, or, you know, cover it with foil. And then we'll cook them for another, you know, 7 to 13 minutes. Because basically you want to bake them 15 to 20 minutes. And I'll show you how you know if they're done, because these are a different type of bread and it's not going to be easy to see because they're going to brown so quickly. You basically want to pick one up and tap it, and if it sounds like empty, like doot, 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 then you're good to go. If it sounds dense, then it's not cooked all the way through, okay? It sounds weird, but it'll work. So I'm gonna let these sit here until the oven's ready. It's at 336, it shouldn't take too much longer. Get them in the oven, and when I come back, I'll show you what it looks like at the 7 minutes. Okay guys, 7 minutes. I'm gonna see what this looks like. I can see already just from the thing. Look at, they're not burned and they're very light. So let me turn off the kitchen timer. So I think this is gonna be really good. And then again, you know, in a bakery, they do sometimes, ooh, like her recipes are always at that really high heat, and there's probably a reason for it, but these got way burned. So, you know your oven. If you think you can go 380, 385, you can do the 390, go ahead. But I'm gonna leave it alone for 8 more minutes. I'll check it then. And then I probably will go at least 20 minutes on baking them though, because I think the other day I did 25, even though it got totally burned at the beginning, because they cook, they brown so fast, you still have to cook it through. So we'll come back at 15 minutes and we'll see what we got. Okay guys, we are at 15. And oh, it's looking better. Oh, I did get a little burst here. That's okay. Not bad. Yeah, so for sure, look how light these are. We have to keep going. So I'm gonna turn these around again. And that is insane to me, because just that 15 degrees difference, it was completely burned. You know, and it's funny because she always says, oh, cook them at 180 or bake them at 180 degrees Celsius. I think I'm still gonna give them like 7 more minutes. So we already did 15, I'm gonna add 7 more. So kitchen timer 7. And if you look up 180 degrees Celsius, that's 356. So I don't know where these other numbers come from, but Fahrenheit, you know. But okay, I'm gonna let it go, like I said, 7 more minutes, because I think I'm probably gonna have to go a whole 25. When she bakes the larger bread, she does 15 minutes, turns it, and then 10 more minutes. So 25 minutes on a large bread. These are filled and they're cupcakes, so you still kind of have to go with like the higher end. But some people's are cooked, so these are clearly not. So I'll be right back, and that'll be about 22 minutes, right? Okay. Okay guys, this is gonna start beeping. I hope you guys are okay with like I'm just going step by step, because sometimes a lot of baking videos are like put it in 15 minutes, and I doubt they are ever at the 15 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like to see what it looks like as we're going along, and you can kind of troubleshoot if you made bread yourself. Ooh, my camera is now very close. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't mess something up. So what we're gonna do is take one out, and like I said, it looks pretty brown. And this was funny, with her recipe she said that it's gonna look kind of pale in the middles, and people might think it's not cooked, but it's fine. That's how she likes it. But let me open, like, grab one. And you wanna tap it, and do you hear that? It sounds cooked, but this is the side that had the nuts, so maybe that one cooked faster than, like, let's say this guy. So let me grab one of these. Oh my goodness, so hot. Woo! Those are boiling lava hot. Can you hear that? They're cooked. They're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and take them out. I'm just gonna close this because it's hot, but I'm gonna turn off my oven, take them out, and we're gonna let them sit just for like 2 or 3 minutes in the cups. You don't want to leave them there the whole time, because then they're gonna start sweating. So just like 2 or 3 minutes, just let them kind of cool down a little bit, and then we'll get them onto some cooling racks. And then maybe 5 minutes after that, we are going to put a little butter on top, so they're still a little bit warm, not boiling hot though. We're gonna melt some butter, put some butter on top, and dip them in some sugar. And I'll be right back. Okay guys, sorry about the lighting. It's like 1 o'clock, and this is just what it looks like. But how cute are they? You know, why some did this, like where it tore apart and just came, and what the other ones didn't. There's only 2, I think, that did that. I don't know. I can't tell you. And only one burst the dam, so that's really great. But yeah, so we're just gonna take these out, and they feel so soft. And these are a little crunchy, so that's good. And so I'm just gonna, like I said, put them over here and let them rest just for a few more minutes. Just until they're warm but not boiling lava. And I'm gonna keep an eye on that. These guys came from this side. They're obviously the raspberry cream cheese, and then the other guys are the walnut ones, and I'll put those guys over here, so when I go to dip them, I know which ones are which, and we'll dip them in different things. So maybe I'll just do sugar on these. No, sugar on these guys, and then this one colorful. Ooh, I can do cinnamon sugar on these guys. There's already cinnamon in the middle, so maybe I'll just do sugar just so they look traditional. But we'll be right back to do that. I already have my butter melted because I don't want it to be too hot, because I use my hand to apply this. So this is only 2 tablespoons of butter. The other day I melted 4 tablespoons to do 12, and there was so much left over, so that's actually the leftover, and I just remelted it. So you only need 2 tablespoons about to do all of these guys. Oh goodness. Okay, well, I hope you guys see this. So I have my butter here. I'm going to get one hand dirty, and one hand is always going to stay clean, so my left hand is always not going to touch anything other than the stuff. So I have just butter and just plain sugar. So you can just do this. You can dip them in sesame. You can dip them in, again, cinnamon sugar, coconut, whatever you like, to be honest. So I'm going to grab one of the ones that were filled with the cream cheese, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this one later. Okay, I'm gonna do these first. This is just the walnut one. What I wanted to show you is some of the walnut did seep out. Those did, and it looks so yummy. I don't know if you can see, it's all sugary and brown and yummy. A couple of them did that. Maybe even put brown sugar if you wanted. It doesn't matter. Put whatever filling you like. So I'm gonna do this with my hand. I only have one brush that I use for baklava. I don't know where it is, and I usually use it for oil and the mix of oil and butter. You can also just dip it in the butter, but I just dip my hands in here because, you know, these are just for my family anyway. Put a glove on if you're sell them and do it this way, but I think if you're selling them, you probably have a brush, right? And they look pretty just like that too. Just give them a nice little shine. But after that, we're gonna dip them in some sugar. And you can sprinkle the sugar on. I hate wasting, so like I try to just put as much sugar as I would need for this to actually touch all the surfaces. And you can always just kind of tip it towards the middle, like down here, so that you for sure touch it all. But look at that. Looks so yummy. Okay, so that's this little guy. I'm gonna do all of those like that way. And then the other ones that are these guys, I'm going to do the same thing. Just dip butter all around. Not too much, guys. I'm not like drowning it, especially since you want that to stay crispy. Those little edges. Okay, so I have some green sugar, and not sanding sugar, like the thick stuff. This is just, like, this one's so pretty. If you guys have this, I have this at Stater Bros. I've never seen over the top anywhere else. Bluebird, but I don't know if you can see this, but it has like an iridescence to it. So pretty. The green one I just got from this shaker, just generic shaker. And then I have this pink sugar crystal that says, but it's basically just pink sugar that I got at my local grocery store when they started selling things in bulk, which I thought was awesome. Like the same stuff that they use in their cakes, they were selling. So, and I like the pink the most, so really I kind of dip most in that because it's so pretty. And then do whatever you like, you know, just dip in the green. These I do keep towards the edge because they're harder to dip into, especially because I don't want to waste them. They're super expensive. Well, not super expensive, but you know, a couple bucks for a little thing of blue. This one I will kind of go like this if that's what I need to do. But that's all you're doing, just dipping them and just putting lots of colors. The reason I did this is because it gives it more of like an Easter color theme going, and then you can have them all year long. So I'm gonna dip them all, and I'll be right back just to give you some few last notes, and that's it. All right, guys, just want to show you I still had quite a bit of butter left over, so really maybe even a tablespoon will work, but that's okay. You know, I just don't like wasting, so there's that. But here are these guys, and they look great. I'm gonna try to get them in here without knocking things or getting them destroyed. Like I just hit the tripod here. But look how cute. So I'll have some pictures for you guys. I was not gonna eat one yet because I kind of like to leave them for like when, you know, everyone's home and here. But let's take this one since this one's a little bit messed up. And I'm gonna put these to the side. Look how cute. I love all those colors. And see how they're all different? You know, it's kind of... They're supposed to be a little crunchier because, you know, bones are crunchy, and, you know, whatever they do as they're baking, that's cool too. Because, like, let's say you were at a graveyard and you saw those, ew, right? They're like all, which would not happen, I don't think. But anyway, you know how they do with Halloween, that they kind of play with that. But I'm going to take this off, and we are going to, this is the easiest way for me. I don't just bite into it. I always open it up, but I want to open it because I want to show you the filling. Oh my gosh, look at that. Yum, yum, yummy. I need to take pictures of this, guys. But here, in the picture you can't tell how much is missing. Let's just take a little bit out of there. So good. Okay, so the last time I made it, I did knock out too much air. I can tell already because this is a lot softer than the last time. It was still good. It just was not as tender, you know? Look how, I mean, I don't know if you can see how squishy this bread is, but it's awesome. And look at the air that's in there. The little filling, perfect. So good. That orange flavor just from the orange zest was natural, really yummy. I added a little vanilla. You don't have to do that. So I'll have all the notes at the end or in the description box as far as the recipe and kind of how I, you know, obviously I added vanilla. If you're using the orange blossom water, you really only want to use about a teaspoon for this whole thing. If you're not using orange zest, or if you're using orange zest and that, very little, okay? It goes a long way, and it's kind of perfumey, it's kind of flavored very heavily, so you don't want to go too far with that stuff. And you know, I baked them at 275, 22 minutes. It probably will take anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes for you. But I'll have the notes and obviously the recipe, I'll write it up. And I'll have the link to some of the original places that I kind of got the different ideas from, so you can check out their site, their recipes and their sites. And I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye now. I just want to say right now, after I took my pictures, and I'm obviously going to eat this thing, it is crunchy on the top. So it just makes the bread that much better. Like, it's all soft and then you have that little crunchiness. Let me see if I can eat this up. So maybe you can hear that. It's pretty crunchy, and then it's all soft. Perfect. So it is worth taking the time to add a little more flour to that top part, just so you can get that good crunch. I am like blown away. This is so good. That little orange, the little... I've already done a set of these and opened them before, so that's why I didn't do one on video for you guys, but if you go to my Instagram, you'll see pictures and stuff like that of them opened up, and maybe I'll take another picture while the kids eat them, because they're awesome. Put some Nutella in there. I totally forgot I had ganache from making macarons that didn't work out, and I'm like, oh, I should have just thrown some ganache in there, because it's in the fridge anyway. It's nice and firm. Maybe next time. Alright. It's definitely worth trying. I'm so glad I made 12, but at the same time, I really want more of these. So maybe you do make the full recipe. I don't know. But I'll have that information there for you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.